All right, it kind of feels like Groundhog Day because literally the exact same thing that happened last game happened this game with just a little bit more heartbreak. This is the Hoops Nerd postgame show. Guys, it was basically the same plot. It's like an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where Raymond messes up, he gets in trouble with the family, he figures it out, and the episode ends. Same thing. Jazz get a big first quarter, hit a bunch of threes, and then the Wolves just play with ferocity and length and defense. The Jazz get skittish and scared and nervous on offense. They can't hit shots, and they lose the game in a close one at the very end. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. For the Timberwolves, I mean, they basically have figured out kind of how to guard the Jazz in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously they're playing the Jazz without who I think basically we've proven is their best player is Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is absolutely the best player on the Utah Jazz, and I think playing the Wolves without Donovan Mitchell creates some really tough matchups for Utah when they're playing them. You don't have a guy like Donovan who can go out and just get buckets when everyone else is just like exhausted or whatever. Uh, but you have a Wolves team that has a lot of length and athleticism. It's kind of so if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, first off, welcome to the channel. And also, I just want to let you know that if you're a Wolves fan, I appreciate you. I feel a kinship with you as another market, in Utah that just doesn't get the pub like the Timberwolves don't get. We can be brothers. We can have a kind of kinship with each other, right? But one thing that's interesting when you are a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves and you consistently get top picks, you are going to have athleticism on the floor, and you're going to have GMs when they have lots of picks taking taking chances on certain guys. Jaden McDaniels has length and athleticism, and he can't quite shoot the ball great yet, but he does a lot of other things on the floor that really flustered the Jazz. He has super length and size, and he just like creates problems. You have that kind of length, uh, you're going to do some nice things on the defensive end. And then, of course, we know Anthony Edwards, who's just like the physical talent, the physical, the body, the tools, the athleticism, all of that together is just incredible with that guy. And he can just, if he can continue to just improve and get better just at the game, the little things, just the things on offense you do, little tricks, things that you just get better at as you play in the league. If he can continue to improve every single year, add moves to his offensive game, learn how to defend in better ways and smart ways, use his athleticism to win games and in the correct situations, and not when you don't need to. Things like that. If Anthony is, I'm probably saying his name wrong because that's just how it goes sometimes. No, Anthony Edwards. I knew that. And tonight he just didn't have a really great night, and the Jazz couldn't capitalize. He had a big game last game. Tonight he didn't. He was 1 for 10 from three, 5 for 17 from the field, but he was a +1. And that's called, and to me, that just tells me that guy's playing with athleticism and doing some nice things. Sometimes you just have a guy that doesn't normally shoot the ball great. Josh Okogie was 50% from three tonight, 2 for 4. That's a big deal. When you have a defender like Okogie out there who's big physical guy, it makes a big difference. Jaden McDaniels, like I said, he was only 1 for 6 from three. He had 6 points, but he was a +4. Defense matters, guys. It really does. Ricky Rubio couldn't hit a 3, 0 for 2. Ricky Rubio had 2 points, and the Wolves won. Karl Anthony Towns was 1 for 4, 7 for 13 from the field, which is nice, 21 points. He was a +9. 11 rebounds, 2 assists. This game was won by D'Angelo Russell. He was unreal. 27 points, 7 for 12 from three, 10 for 16 from the field. He had just one of those nights, 27 and 12 for a +9. That guy is fantastic. And honestly, if I'm a Wolves fan, I'm looking at that Ricky Rubio contract. How long do we have to play this guy? And I don't know. I'm sure Wolves fans are happy to have him on the team because he's helping them keep their pick. Although D'Angelo Russell's doing a lot to keep them from getting that pick. Tonight he was out of his mind. 27 and 12. Just incredible for the Timberwolves fans out there. all 12 of you, or however many there are. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. But that's actually kind of a wild stat. Let's just look at that again. That's actually wild. The starters for the Timberwolves hit 5 threes for the entire starting unit, and that includes Towns, who's a good three-point shooter, and they won this game. Wow. Now, the starters for the Jazz, let's see. Was it any better? Am I going to start crying? Starters for the Jazz, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not much better, and the Jazz are a purported good three-point shooting team. Just wasn't happening. The Jazz needed a big night from Bojan Bogdanovic and did not get it. 1 for 11 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. He was a -6. The biggest plus-minus for the Jazz was George Niang with a +12 in a Jazz loss. He was 14 points. He was 4 for 9 from 3, 4 for 11 from the field. That guy is becoming just really consistent for the Jazz. I mean, that's pretty rough when Donovan Mitchell's out and the biggest contributor outside of Mike Conley is George Niang. Mike Conley actually had a pretty decent night, just some heartbreak plays. He had 7 assists, 9 rebounds. He actually was flirting with a triple-double, but 4 turnovers. Oh, man. There was one turnover at the end of the game with Mike Conley that was so painful. They had that NBA 2K cam going for some reason, and Mike Conley had isolation, and he had kind of that open pull-up three. He did not take it and passed it into a turnover. Oh, that was pain, because if he takes that shot... By the way, guys, missed shots aren't bad. Can we talk about that a little bit right now? Missed shots are not that... I mean, they're not good, but they're also not bad. Because you know what's worse than a missed shot? A turnover. A turnover. If you are passing up a shot because you are scared to miss it and you pass the ball and create a turnover, you have now created a transition opportunity for the opposing team, and those are very nice opportunities. Oh, you know what was pain? Thinking about that transition where George Niang missed that layup and then Rudy for some reason rushed it and didn't get the tap in. That was the game. I had there's just times where you just know the Jazz are not going to win a game when you can just feel it. It's rough. All right, what we're going to do right now, and everyone in the chat, Furby Jr., Donald Schooley, Kenny, I see all the crying emojis. We all feel the pain. Clay Harris, rough stuff, guys. But all of you guys in the chat, we've got to have a Donovan Mitchell appreciation night. So lay down the spider emojis if you have them. If you have them, lay down the spider emojis that are only on the Hoops Nerd YouTube channel, by the way. This team tonight was obviously a team that misses their superstar. And at this point, Donovan Mitchell should be considered nothing other than a superstar. He's a superstar. Yes, that's right, Ezekiel, Brian, Furby Jr., lay down those spider emojis. All of us need to appreciate Donovan Mitchell more. Every single one of us. In those times when we've been disappointed in how he's done this or that, guess what? What we've found out in these last 2 games is it's not hero ball. No more saying hero ball, guys. It's not hero ball. What it is the crux of the Jazz offense. You have an atom with little electrons flying around it. You know what that little ball thing in the middle is? Is it a neutron? I'm not sure. But that's Donovan Mitchell. So all these little electrons, when they don't have their little Jimmy Neutron in the middle, they're just and then all of a sudden they get scared to shoot threes, apparently. And they just get really nervous. They get scared to drive to the basket. They get nervous to run an isolated pick and roll on the left side or whatever it is. Why? Because Donovan Mitchell is not on the floor. He is the leader of this team. He just is. And I love Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is incredible. But Rudy Gobert plays off of Donovan Mitchell. On the offensive end, at least. On the defensive end, Rudy Gobert is incredible. But you know what? I think we can probably start realizing a little bit too. Stop saying Donovan's a bad defender. Just stop. Is he a great defender? No. But he's fine. He's fine. But Mike Conley is not as good a defender probably as, well, I don't know. I guess we could probably look at it, and I don't want to say that. But you know what? Joe Ingles has been asked to play a lot of minutes. And that's another thing that's rough for the Jazz is you've got guys that don't normally play this amount of minutes and don't carry this much of the offensive load, because who's carrying it? The broad shoulders of Donovan Mitchell. And now that load that Donovan Mitchell carries is being held by other people. And guess what? It's weighing him down. Joe Ingles looks tired. Why? Because Donovan Mitchell carries that superstar load, and he's only getting stronger. He's only getting better. Everyone on this team plays off of him. I think we are at the point now where you can just say that he's arrived. He is the superstar of this team, and he didn't even play a single minute of this game. And you know what? Sometimes it takes missing someone to realize how important they were to you. Have you ever had a significant other in your life that maybe you took for granted a little bit? Maybe you just got used to that person that, treated you really good. And then maybe you thought, oh, we can get by without that person in my life. And then you're crying in a bathroom 2 days later because you realized you made a terrible mistake. You made a terrible mistake, and you have to go win back that person. I hope I'm not triggering anyone right now. But that's what the Jazz are finding out with Donovan Mitchell. That he, or at least Jazz fans, that he is the thing that makes everything work. And all of a sudden when he's not there, you've got guys being expected to make things happen when the best defender's on them. Mike Conley's a really nice player, but Mike Conley is playing against the second best defender at best every night, or against second units. Why? Because Donovan Mitchell is shouldering the load of the focus of every opposing defense, the best defender of every single team, every single night. And Donovan Mitchell, by the way, on this Jazz team, who is as athletic as Donovan Mitchell? No one's more athletic than Donovan Mitchell on this team, by the way. How many players on this team even come close to Donovan? Like, even come close? Maybe Miaoni? Maybe? But Miaoni, does he have the skill and shooting ability of what Donovan Mitchell brings? Think about that. No one on this team outside of like Miaoni has even near the athleticism Donovan Mitchell. But then you combine the fact that he has that insane talent with, his handle, his shooting, pull up, spot up. No one, not even close. Mike Conley's got the skill, but when you consider the athleticism Donovan, his ability to play above the rim, it's just not replaceable. And he will break double teams. When the teams are switching like they did against the Jazz tonight, Donovan Mitchell can bust that open. You need a guy that can bust that open, and the Jazz don't have it. So instead you have a lot of plays that end up turning into like isolation. The Jazz have to do a lot to create a side pick and roll, and the Timberwolves are doing everything they can to not let that happen. And so sometimes you just need that guy that can just like blow by his defender and bend the defense and then find an open shooter. By the way, there's just so many things with this Jazz team that just don't go as well when Donovan's not on the floor. Like, how many players on this team can make a pass into the bread box? I was noticing that tonight. Like, Royce O'Neal, I like his kickouts, but man, if he could get that ball into the chest instead of at the feet, that'd be great. There's just so many like little things that you miss when Donovan Mitchell's not on the floor, creating more open opportunities. Like 4 or 5 assists from Donovan is just so massive. Those 4 or 5 assists a game for Donovan Mitchell are massive, because that doesn't also include the shots that players missed that he created, right? It's just not the same team without him. And at this point, you just got to appreciate it. Like, you can't compare it to the Brooklyn Nets because they have like 3 superstars on that team. But another team, in the league that had, like, if you take Jokic off of the Nuggets, how well do they do? He is the focal point of their offense. And all of a sudden, if you have that guy not playing, Not the same. You have, I don't know, just go through the standings. You have the best player on everyone else's team. They're not there. They're not the same. The Lakers are just not the same without LeBron James. That's why they've been losing games. It just is what it is. When you don't have that guy stirring the pot, creating shots and opportunities for other people, it just doesn't happen. And it's not even necessarily the creation, it's the gravity. And I hope you guys know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about gravity. But when you have Donovan Mitchell with the ball, the defense is all focused on him and gravitates toward him to try to help and defend that. And that just creates better opportunities for everyone else. Donovan Mitchell makes Bojan Bogdanovic's life much, much easier because he just gets getting more open opportunities because he's getting guarded by like the third or fourth worst defender instead of the second or third best, or sometimes the first. Donovan Mitchell's taking that on for him. Same goes for Mike Conley. Mike Conley's running pick and rolls against like the second best defender on the perimeter. And some teams just don't have a great second best defender. And so that's why Mike can like have really nice nights. But all of a sudden you're being guarded by the best guy, All of a sudden you've got Jaden McDaniels on you instead of, I guess Ricky Rubio or someone, although Ricky Rubio looked locked in tonight. He wanted to beat the Jazz, which I can understand. He only got 2 points though, so I'm not gonna shout a lot of praises for him. But this Utah Jazz team just can't score when Donovan Mitchell's not in the game. They can do it in the first quarter apparently, but then good teams that are well, and I don't know. This Wolves team is really well coached. They know how to stop the Jazz. At least without Donovan Mitchell. With Donovan Mitchell, I think the Jazz win these games easily. Although I think the Jazz lost to him earlier in the year with Donovan Mitchell. So who knows? But, Donovan Mitchell is important, and we should appreciate him more because he shoulders the load for everyone. Got a weird shadow on my face. There. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right. That's better. Guys, I don't know what else there is to say about this game. I mean, you have just certain players on the team just not stepping up. Bojan Bogdanovic, 1 for 7 from 3. Can he make one more? Royce O'Neal actually had a decent night from 3, 2 for 5. But you know what's frustrating? His hits should have been like 8 threes. He passed up too many shots. Just too many. Joe Ingles, 3 for 13 from 3. Joe Ingles is tired. Joe Ingles is really tired, and that's what's happening because you're missing Donovan Mitchell. And the Jazz have gotten away with not having Mitchell, but man, tonight, they couldn't do it. Derek Favors played 13 minutes tonight. He was near unplayable at times. 1 for 1 from the field, which is nice, 8 rebounds, but he was a -2. Not ideal. He is getting beat. He is getting just destroyed. He is jogging back in transition, and teams are taking advantage. It was nice. One of the nice things from this game, Ersan Ilyasova came in and actually hit some shots. Ersan Ilyasova was 3 for 5 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. He had 8 points. He was a +1. Trent Forrest continues to be the apple of Quinn's eye. He got a minute 35 tonight. He had a foul and nothing else. So I don't understand that. But Quinn loves him a lot, and he is this year's Shelvin Mack. Last year Moutier was Quinn's Shelvin Mack. This year I guess it's Trent Forrest. But the Jazz have more talent, so he can't play him. So Utah needs Donovan Mitchell back in the worst way. In the worst way. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Why in the world Royce is closing games? I don't know. He needs to shoot the ball. Donald Schooley, Ersan had foul troubles. Yeah, he did. Because he's trying to draw charges, which, some of those looked like he did a good job. The refs just didn't call it. I felt like Ersan played well. That last play where Rudy didn't, you could argue Mike should have switched back. But Rudy has to recognize at a certain point, hey, they're just going to have to. It's better to have a contested 3 with Mike Conley on Karl Anthony Towns than giving a wide open layup to D'Angelo Russell. That was a miscue, and it hurt my feelings. on that last play, because let's just talk about that too. The improbability of the Jazz taking the lead like they did is so wild. How many times are you actually able to make happen what the Jazz did? Because what happens is, and this is another reason why the Wolves are well coached, they foul Mike Conley coming up the floor when the Jazz were down 3 to not allow the Jazz to shoot a 3. That's the right thing to do. They foul the Jazz and forcing them into 2 free throws. That's the smartest thing they could do, and that's what they did. Great stuff from the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so what happens? Mike Conley makes the first one. He misses the second. So it's even better. I mean, that right there was the play that shows you why you foul when you're up 3 and they have the ball. You foul no matter what. And make sure they go to the line for 2 shots. I mean, you just absolutely have to foul in that situation. But anyways, Mike misses the second one, but the Jazz somehow miraculously create a turnover to get a shot. Then on the inbound, Rudy gets a screen assist to Mike Conley, who buries the 3. The Jazz are up 2 with 5 seconds left. That was incredible. And so it makes that last miscue by Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley just so painful. Just so painful. It hurts. It hurt. It hurt. Guys, that's all I've got to say. Not much else. Utah needs Donovan Mitchell back in the worst way, but he's not coming back anytime soon. It's going to be at least another 5 or 6 games is my guess. Because guess what? You need him to be healthy, and you do not want Donovan Mitchell, you want him to be 100%, because if he's like laboring, that puts him in trouble with other injuries. And so you better make sure that he is okay 100%. You know what? It's time to give a shout out to our All-Stars, though, the guys that make this happen. Let's see. All right, to our All-Stars. Austin R. Grant, thank you, sir. Eric C. Kelsey Hamer, the Hammer. Donald Schooley, Cody Strickland, Mitt Robach, DW to CB, Darren Williams to Carlos Boozer. Let's see. Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de Mexico. Lee Christensen, Shan Therick, Ryan Perry, the legend. Justin Ty H, Patrick Akubo, Robert Hall, DW, Jazz going all the way. I still believe. I still do. You just need Donovan Mitchell back. And so anyways, that's what's going to happen with this Jazz team is they need Donovan Mitchell back, but you don't want him back too early, because him getting a worse injury because he came back too early is not what you need. So Donovan just needs to get better. Let's hope that ankle can just be 100% in like a week or so, maybe 2, and we'll see the Jazz get better. But man, right now it's tough. You've got a team that, and maybe it's just the Wolves. Maybe fingers crossed, maybe it's just something about this Wolves team and their length and athleticism on defense that really destroys the Jazz. But you know who else is just not scoring for the Jazz right now? Jordan Clarkson was 5 for 20. He took 20 shots and made 5 of them. And that was only 2 free throws. He was 1 for 10 from 3. He did have 8 assists, which is kind of incredible. But 5 for 20, that is so tough. That is so tough. Let's hope Jordan Clarkson can figure it out, because the Jazz need it. If the Jazz want to win any games with Donovan Mitchell out, they need Jordan Clarkson to hit some shots. So, guys, if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. Make sure that you join the channel if you'd like to support the channel, and if you'd like to be a part of the chat, and if you'd like some of the perks. There's some things coming out that I think I'm going to try. There's like this pictures thing that YouTube's coming out with, and I'm thinking of doing that as a starter thing and doing the occasional picture thing, just to talk about thoughts I have about the Jazz or of other things. And I want to start doing a little bit more with my videos, so I'm doing live streams like this, post games that I think are really fun, but then also some more of the other like deep dive type videos that might be Jazz related or just NBA in general related. But anyways, guys, you guys are amazing. Thank you for being a part of this channel. You make it more fun to talk about the Jazz when they lose than when you're not here and the Jazz lose and I'm just sad eating ice cream or something. So, guys, you guys are the best. I will talk to you next time.